Every single day, millions of tons of steel hurtle down railway lines across the globe. These iron serpents are the lifeblood of our economy, carrying everything from raw materials to finished goods, often at incredible speeds. But with this immense power and momentum comes a terrifying risk. When a single mistake is made, when protocols are ignored, or when simple physics takes over, the results can be nothing short of catastrophic. A split-second decision can unleash a chain reaction of destruction that is almost impossible to comprehend. From runaway trains reaching highway speeds before obliterating everything in their path, to disastrous derailments that turn entire neighborhoods into scrap metal, you are about to witness 7 of the most shocking and destructive train wrecks ever caught on camera. This is real footage of real disasters, a stark reminder of what happens when things go horribly, horribly wrong. Viewer discretion is advised. The runaway ghost train of San Bernardino. Our first incident takes us to the treacherous slopes of California's Cajon Pass, a place known for steep grades that test the most experienced train crews. On the morning of May 12, 1989, a Southern Pacific freight train, SB 7551 East, began its descent carrying 69 hopper cars filled with trona. But a fatal error had already been made. Clerks had disastrously miscalculated the train's weight. The crew thought they were handling a train of about 6,100 tons, but in reality, they were wrestling with an estimated 8,900 tons of unstoppable momentum. This clerical error was compounded by a critical equipment failure. The train was powered by 6 locomotives, but several had inoperative dynamic brakes, the system that uses the motor's resistance to slow the train. The engineer, Frank Holland, was relying on dangerously incorrect information and crippled equipment. He was descending into a trap he couldn't see. As the train started down the grade, the crew knew something was terribly wrong. Despite using the dynamic brakes they thought were working, the train wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating. The air brakes were applied, but the sheer mass superheated the wheels, making them less and less effective. The wheels glowed cherry red, a terrifying sign of a battle that was already lost. In the rear locomotives, the helper engineer realized they were losing control and made a desperate call. He activated the emergency brakes. Tragically, this move automatically disabled the remaining dynamic brakes, turning the train into a free-falling projectile. Now completely out of control, the train reached speeds estimated at over 100 miles per hour, a 9,000-ton bullet aimed at the residential neighborhood of San Bernardino below. At 7:36 a.m., the runaway train hit a sharp curve on Duffy Street, a curve rated for just 35 miles per hour. Physics took over. The immense force lifted the entire train off the tracks. Locomotives and hopper cars were launched into the air, plowing into the quiet street with unimaginable violence. They disintegrated, shredding houses and burying the street under a mountain of twisted steel and white trona powder. 7 houses were demolished. The conductor, a brakeman, and 2 young boys in their home were killed. The aftermath was a war zone, leaving a scar of absolute devastation. The Utah Fireball. Sometimes the most terrifying moment of a train wreck isn't the crash, but the deliberate destruction that has to happen afterward. That was the case in a remote part of Juab County, Utah, in late March 2019. A 165-car Union Pacific freight train derailed, leaving a tangled mess of 24 cars. The immediate problem wasn't just the wreckage, it was the cargo. Among the derailed cars were 9 tankers filled with highly flammable liquid propane and 2 carrying biodiesel. Several were badly damaged, and 1 began leaking propane gas. First responders faced an incredibly volatile situation. A single spark could have triggered a catastrophic explosion, known as a BLEVE, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. That would have sent shrapnel and a massive shockwave for miles. Moving the leaking tankers was simply too risky. After assessing the extreme danger, Union Pacific and government agencies made a joint decision. They concluded the only safe way to neutralize the threat was a controlled explosive vent and burn. It was, as one official put it, the last tool in the tool bag. The plan was audacious. Use explosives to deliberately puncture all 11 hazardous tankers at once and ignite the contents. On the night of March 31st, an explosives expert executed the plan. At approximately 9:30 p.m., the charges were detonated. The result was apocalyptic. A loud explosion followed by a large fireball erupted into the night sky, as described by the Juab County Sheriff's Office. Footage shows a brilliant flash that blossoms into a monumental mushroom cloud of fire, climbing hundreds of feet and painting the desert sky a terrafee. NG shade of orange, visible for miles. A roaring inferno burned for hours as thousands of gallons of fuel were consumed. While the controlled detonation prevented a much larger, uncontrolled disaster, the visual it created was one of pure, terrifying power, a necessary act of destruction born from a disastrous mistake on the rails. The Railfan's derailment. Most derailments are accidents, but this incident from April 2024 near Bennett, Nebraska,
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my freaking God!
was something far more sinister. Alleged sabotage, carried out for the shocking purpose of capturing it on camera. On April 22nd, a BNSF coal train was rolling along its route when the conductor noticed a switch was misaligned, directing the train off the main line and toward a stationary rail car. He slammed on the emergency brakes, but it was too late. The train collided with the car, causing 2 locomotives and 5 loaded coal cars to jump the tracks. The derailment caused an estimated $350,000 in damages. Investigators quickly determined it was no accident. The switch's lock was missing. The answer to who did it was as bizarre as the crime. At the scene, investigators spoke to a 17-year-old who called himself a railroad enthusiast. In a stunning admission, he even showed an investigator his cell phone video of the derailment. Security footage revealed an individual walking toward the switch, driving away, and then setting up recording equipment just before the crash. The evidence painted a disturbing picture. A teenager, allegedly obsessed with trains, had intentionally caused a massive derailment just to film it. He was later charged with felony criminal mischief, with prosecutors moving to try him as an adult due to the potentially catastrophic nature of his actions. This case is a chilling example of a desire for online notoriety leading to incredibly reckless behavior. The lives of the train crew were put in serious jeopardy. This self-proclaimed Railfan allegedly crossed the line from enthusiast to saboteur, turning his passion into a weapon, and the footage he wanted became the primary evidence against him. The Swedish Bus Split. Level crossings are one of the most dangerous places where road and rail meet. An incident in Sweden serves as a brutal illustration of what happens when a vehicle gets stuck in a train's path. The footage begins with a tense scene already in progress. A large, articulated city bus is stuck on the tracks at a crossing in Gothenburg. The barriers are down, the lights are flashing, and the warning bells are ringing. For some reason, the biogas-powered bus is immobilized directly in the path of an oncoming passenger train. The person filming captures the growing sense of dread. The bus is a sitting duck. In the distance, the train's horn blares a final, desperate warning. The regional train comes into view, moving too fast to stop. The cameraman, realizing the danger, starts to run but keeps filming. The train smashes directly into the rear section of the articulated bus. The impact is instantaneous and utterly violent. The train doesn't just hit the bus, it tears it apart. The entire back half of the bus seems to disintegrate into a cloud of metal shards and debris. The powerful locomotive continues forward, cutting through the vehicle as if it were made of cardboard. Large sections of the bus are thrown dozens of feet into the air. The rest of the bus is violently spun around and slammed again into the side of the train. The train continues down the track, its momentum barely affected, while wreckage is scattered across the crossing. Miraculously, the bus was empty, and the driver had escaped before the collision. Only 3 people on the train reported minor injuries, but the visual evidence is a chilling reminder of the forces at play. demonstrating with terrifying clarity why getting stuck on the tracks is a gamble you can never win. The ghost train of London, Ontario. Imagine looking out your window and seeing a train rolling through your city, not just carrying cargo, but carrying a raging inferno. That was the surreal reality for residents of London, Ontario, on the night of April 21, 2024. Just before 11 p.m., 911 calls flooded in, reporting an unbelievable sight. A Canadian Pacific Kansas City freight train moving through the city with several cars engulfed in flames. Viral videos show the ghostly spectacle. The train is still moving at a considerable speed, a serpent of fire snaking through the city. Flames leap high into the night sky from at least 5 open-top cars, trailing thick black smoke. The cars were filled with old wooden railroad ties, often treated with creosote, a flammable preservative. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada later determined the fire was likely started by sparks from the locomotive's exhaust. The airflow from the moving train fanned the flames, causing the fire to spread rapidly. The train crew had to make a critical decision. They couldn't just stop anywhere. They skillfully managed to T the burning cars to a safer location near a water source, uncoupling them from the rest of the train to give firefighters better access. It took 28 firefighters over an hour to bring the intense blaze under control. The fire caused an estimated $25,000 in damage to the rail cars and another $10,000 to a nearby building scorched by the heat. Thankfully, no one was injured, but the incident left the city shaken. The images of a fiery phantom train are not easily forgotten, a testament to the quick thinking of the crew and the terrifying potential for disaster on the rails. The Cameron Fireball Collision. The morning calm in Cameron, Texas, was shattered on February 23, 2021. Just before 7 a.m., an 18-wheeler truck collided with a BNSF freight train at a crossing. The truck driver hit the side of the 110-car train, and the consequences were immediate and explosive. The train was carrying mixed freight, and critically, this included tanker cars filled with gasoline. The impact from the truck ruptured a gasoline tanker, causing a massive derailment of about 13 cars that immediately erupted into a monstrous fireball. Dashcam videos capture the sheer scale of the explosion. One moment, there's a train at a crossing. The next, a massive orange and black fireball billows upwards, dwarfing everything around it. Thick, oily black smoke poured into the sky, visible for miles as the fire fed on spilled gasoline. At least 5 of the derailed tankers were burning, creating a blaze so intense that first responders had to let it burn itself out. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, establishing a half-mile evacuation zone. A nearby home was burned down by the intense heat. Miraculously, despite the apocalyptic scene, both the truck driver and all members of the train crew survived without serious injury. The aftermath was a scene of scorched earth and twisted metal. The Cameron collision is a visceral reminder of the danger posed by trains carrying flammable materials through our communities. A single mistake at a crossing was all it took to create a scene straight out of an action movie. The Painesville garbage truck disaster. Our final clip from Painesville, Ohio, in 2007 shows how a single stuck vehicle can cause an extraordinary amount of chaos. A garbage truck became immobilized on a railroad crossing. Whatever the reason, his massive truck was now a steel roadblock directly in the path of a CSX freight train. Footage from a nearby camera shows the inevitable. The train approaches at speed, its horn blaring, a futile gesture against the laws of physics. The locomotive slams into the garbage truck, which explodes into a shower of debris. But the real disaster was just beginning. The force of the impact was so great that it didn't just destroy the truck, it destabilized the entire train. The lead locomotive was thrown from the rails, tipping onto its side. The cars directly behind it followed, jackknifing and piling into one another in a violent, screeching chain reaction. The footage is pure chaos, showing over 20 freight cars flying off the rails and smashing into a chaotic pile of wreckage. As emergency crews swarmed the scene, they made a terrifying discovery. One of the derailed cars was a tanker carrying a highly reactive and dangerous substance, molten sodium. If that tanker had been breached and the sodium had come into contact with water, from the firefighters' hoses, for example, it would have caused a massive chemical explosion and a fire that is nearly impossible to extinguish. This incident highlights the cascading nature of train disasters. A single mistake, a garbage truck stuck on the tracks, led to a multi-car derailment. That derailment then created a potentially catastrophic hazmat situation that threatened the lives of first responders and the entire community, proving that on the railroad, even a small mistake can lead to the biggest of disasters. These 7 incidents are a powerful look at the destructive force of a train collision. While the footage is shocking, it serves as a critical reminder of the importance of railway safety. Which one of these incidents did you find the most unbelievable? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more incredible real-life events caught on camera, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Conclusion. From human error to alleged sabotage, the potential for disaster on the rails is ever present. The sheer weight and speed of these iron giants mean that when things go wrong, they go wrong in a truly spectacular and terrifying fashion. Thanks for watching, and we hope this has been an eye-opening look into the world of train accidents. Stay safe out there, especially around railway crossings.